Hello and welcome to Live with the Paper Pixie episode. Which one is it, dear? 358. I'm Julie DiMatteo, the Paper Pixie, coming to you live from Alpharetta, Georgia. Today is Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Happy New Year. We are back after a 2-week hiatus. I think my brain is still a little bit on vacation because I'm not totally ready for you tonight, but we're going to have fun together. I'm excited about sharing tonight's project. I don't even have a finished project to show you. We're going to finish it tonight together. If you're watching us live, say hello and where you're watching from. And I want to say hello to my replay watchers as well. And a big warm welcome to my Pixie patrons. You'll recognize them in the chat with the little magic wand icon next to their names. We had our members only stream. That was the last live stream that I did in 2024. And our next members only stream is coming up next Thursday, because believe it or not, next Thursday, I think it's the 16th, is the third Thursday of January. How crazy is that? I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season. I took an opportunity to really unplug. I didn't do any crafting over the last 2.5 weeks. The kids were home until they went back to school yesterday. So I was officially back to work yesterday, but playing some serious catch up. You guys should see my inbox. I did get up at 2 a.m. yesterday morning to place my order for product shares. So I got that in. I did have to substitute. That Daffodil Delight ribbon was out of stock before the catalog launched. So I substituted that for the really cool Lost Lagoon cording. So those of you that are in my product shares, I'll give you an update on that. There is some weather happening, I think, on the Salt Lake City side of the country. I did see that UPS said there might be a delay, but we're going to get to work as quickly as we can on product shares. So that's kind of what's going on in my world. I do have show and tell from Nolan. Really quickly, I'm going to show you, this is the box we're going to be creating tonight. This is my prototype. I usually do a bunch of different samples as prototypes, and then we're going to use some new products today. I don't remember all the names of stuff yet. I'm just starting to play with the new stuff, so I'm excited to share that box with you. What else? It's celebration time. There's so many things that dropped yesterday. I know I'm probably going to forget something, but first and foremost, since we're already into the live, if you do have a question for me tonight, be sure to put a Q in front of that question. That'll make it into my queue when I do the live Q&A at the end of the stream. I'm going to save all your questions till the end, but I will stay on to answer them all. So put a Q before that, otherwise it's just a comment, and do save that Q for questions so that I can get to everybody's questions. When you shop with me, you earn Pixie Perks on orders of $25 or more. All you need to do is use my magic shopping link, thepaperpixie.com/shop. That will auto-magically take you to the Stampin' Up! Online store, shopping with me with my current host code applied to your order. Now, if your order is going to be $150 or more, make sure to take that host code off of your order. You can do that on the shopping cart screen, and then you're going to receive Stampin' Rewards from Stampin' Up! You'll still get Pixie Perks from me as well, but that $150 amount is when Stampin' Rewards kick in. And it's celebration right now. So orders or purchases of $60 or more earn a free item. There's free with $60 purchase items during celebration. That is going on now through February 28th. It's my favorite time of the Stampin' Up! Year. And then there's also free with a $120 purchase as well. That started yesterday. So that celebration, there's also an amazing starter kit or join deal. It is $99 and you get to choose, oh my gosh, there's 2 different choices. It's the normal $125 in product plus a free stamp set, and that's a very special stamp set only available for the starter kit. Option 1 is then in addition to that, you also family Stampin' Write markers. So it's something like a $92, $91 additional free product for $99. So it's the $125 plus let's see, trying to do all the math. The free stamp set, the 2 things, it was around $90 extra. That is the best deal of the bunch. The other one is if you don't want the markers or the stamp set, you can just get an additional $30. So $155 in product for $99. Either way, it's a great deal, but the markers are the better deal by a lot. So check that out. There's absolutely no obligation to sell or teach classes. You could simply enjoy the Stampin' Up! Discount to help with your hobby purchases. And I'd love to have you join my team of Paper Pixies. So that's going on through February 28th, the last day of February. We also had the mini catalog that launched yesterday. That looks like this. Full of wonderful, we kind of refer to it as the spring catalog, lots of spring products in there. Also new online exclusives dropped yesterday. Celebration, mini catalog, online exclusives. We also had 3 new kits that dropped, and then we had a new scrapbooking brochure. So tons of things to check out. Take your time, go to the online store and just browse and shop what's new. You'll find all kinds of wonderful new products. So that's the scoop there. Nolan got, I don't know, 3 or 4 different car sets. I did help him with one of them, which was an 18 and over set as well. And so we had fun with Lego for sure. But that is no show and tell for tonight. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the project demonstration tonight. I'm using kind of a hodgepodge of products. Here is the box again. I'm calling it a tapered clutch gift box, but I want to tell you that I got inspiration from Jennifer Amry from Evasions Créatives. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. She is a French demonstrator and I absolutely love her work. So I fell in love with this box that I saw on her website and I pixified it, and we're gonna have some fun putting it together. But I just thought it was so unique with the way that the sides are tapered. And then it's just, I don't know, I just loved the way that it looked, but I changed a little bit how it goes together. So forgive me, the template looks a little complicated. I'm gonna try to make it really easy for you. There is a method to my madness, but it is just a very cool box. Nolan said it looks like a weight. You know those weights? What are they called? I'm picturing like the Looney Tunes weights where it's a different weight than that, but you know what weights I'm talking about?
Kettlebell?
Kind of like a kettlebell, is that what that is? I don't know. I thought the same thing and then Nolan said it out loud. I'm like, oh, we're on the same page. So we are gonna be using Melon Mambo for the base of the box. And the starting piece measures 10.5 by 8. So you're technically on an 8.5 by 11, you're just cutting off a 1/2 inch from each side. So 10.5 by 8. An anvil, yes, Janice, that's what I was thinking of. Something along those lines. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my Simply Scored. I need to have the template out so that I can make sure, because I'm doing some kind of different scoring and I want to make sure I don't mess that up. I will bring the template in just a minute, but I don't want to get you guys distracted with the template. We're going to start with the measurements first. So along the 8-inch side, we're going to go ahead and score this. I didn't even write down all the measurements here, but we're going to score this at 5/8 and 2.5 from each side. So I'm just going to then rotate it 180. And we're gonna do 5/8 and 2.5. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn it to the 10.5 inch side, and I'm actually gonna flip over for the first score line because I wanna score on the opposite side of the other score line. So we're gonna score this at 1. Then I'm going to flip back and score it at 1 3/4. So 1 3/4, but the 1 is on the back side. I'm gonna rotate it 180. We're gonna repeat those same measurements. And that's just because this top score line here is, we're gonna fold the paper a different way. So 1 3/4. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking like first. And then I'm going to do, let's see, let me look at my notes here. Okay, so the next 2 measurements are 3 1/4 and 7 1/4, but we're only gonna come down to the second score line. I'll bring in the template in just a moment, but 3 1/4, coming down to that second score line, 7 1/4, second score line, okay? We're gonna repeat the same things on the opposite side, so we'll kind of get a second try here, but so 3 1/4, 7 1/4, stop at that second horizontal score line. And then we're gonna do 4 score lines, but only come down to the first one. And those are gonna be at 4, and stopping at that first score line, 4.5, 6, and 6.5. So stopping at that first score line there, okay? We're gonna repeat those same things on the opposite side. So again, remember the first 2 measurements were 3.25 and 7.25. We're gonna come down to the second horizontal score line. So 3.25, 7.25. And then we've got 4 more score lines. We're gonna stop at that first horizontal. So that's 4, 4.5. You're probably sitting here thinking like, what the heck, Julie? I promise. All right, then 6 and 6.5. Okay. Oh yes, I love the cowbell skit for sure. Oh, all right. Then we've got 2 more score lines we're gonna do, and those are only going to be in the center section. So now I'm gonna bring the template in just to kind of point out what we're doing. I know this looks wacky. I could not figure out how to adjust the little miter cuts here. I'll come back to that in a moment for tonight's live stream. But when I get the project sheet finished for you, I will have figured out how to do that in Adobe Illustrator. But let me just point out what the score lines that we did. So we have the 3.25 and 7.25. See how we came down to that second horizontal score line? And then 4, 4.5, 6, 6.5, stopping at that first score line. We did that on both sides. And now what we need to do are these score lines that just go right through the center, okay? And part of why we're doing this is to get this angle fold. I also wanted to have a tab, for lack of a better term, to glue on the insides. The only difference with Jennifer's tutorial is that she had a score line that goes straight here, and it was a triangle that glued to the inside of the box. And personally, for me, my preference is I liked the way it looked all the way down. It had just a little bit of a nicer finish with this little 1/2-inch tab, kind of an angled tab going all the way down. So that's what's Pixie-fied about this. I also converted metric to imperial. But then we're gonna do these 2 score lines right in the center, and those are gonna be at 3.75 and 6.75. So that is basically between the second and third horizontal score lines. So the easiest way to do that is with a ruler. And I like to line up, what did I say? 3.75 and 6.75. So I'm lining up my ruler here. It just so happens with this ruler, oh no, I'm seeing a shadow there. Never mind. So 3.75, I'm just to the left of where the 3.75 is so that there's room for my ball tip on my stylus. And then I'm just gonna, where is that starting score line? So yeah, then we're just gonna catch it there and score. Just like that, okay? And then we're gonna do 6.75. Did I do that at the right one? Yeah, 3.75 and 6.75. Again, I'm just lining up the flat edge of my ruler to make this as straight as I can. So right at 6.75, and then I'm gonna come down. You just gotta get it started. It'll pick up the groove in the Simply Scored, like so. Okay, I know a little hard to see with the lights. There we go. Now I'm gonna hang on to the stylus from the Simply Scored, or you can use the stylus from the Take Your Pick tool that comes with that attachment. And bringing the template back. Now we're gonna do our diagonal score lines. So there is some method to my score line madness. So I wanna point out, I'll show you on the template as well, the bottom of this score line that we came down to the second horizontal, we're gonna diagonally meet that up with the first of the 2 short score lines. Then the top of this middle score line, we're gonna meet up with the bottom of the second. And then we're gonna do the same thing over here. So we're connecting the lines on an angle, okay? The only purpose of this short score line here is to be the starting point for our first diagonal score line. Okay, so those are all, these middle score lines are purposeful for the box, and then this short one is only purposeful to give us a starting point for that diagonal score line. So, all right. And let me show you on the template as well what we're doing. So the bottom of that short score line, we're scoring from here to there. And then that little middle score line from there to the bottom of that short score line, okay? And you'll see that template again in just a moment as we start to remove paper. I'm kind of lifting up my cardstock so I can see it with the glare of the lights. So score line, pardon my reach. Oop, there we go. Score line to score line. So it looks like that. And this whole section is going to be a tab, okay? And then we're going to just repeat that on all 4 sections. There we go. Okay. Now rotate it 180 and repeat, same thing. Like that. I have to keep leaning my head to see the, catch the light there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let me bring the template back. We just did these diagonals. And that was just strategically with the score lines, getting those in place. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna fold and burnish on the score lines that go all the way across. So there really is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that go all the way across. So those are the ones we're gonna focus on. So along the long side, let's do those. Let me get my bone folder. I personally like to do the burnishing ahead of cutting because it does help, at least for me, it helps me to see the score lines a little bit better. We're not folding and burnishing on all the score lines, but it just helps a little bit. Now, remember on the short sides here, we did those 2 score lines on the opposite side of the paper. So make sure, if I'm looking, this is the side we scored on, I want to turn that valley score line into a mountain fold. That's the only one that goes in the opposite direction. I'll show you the profile from the side. Kind of looks like that. See that little Z shape there? The same thing on the opposite side. It's a simple thing, but it really does make this box, it just takes it up a notch. But see how we've got on the box, this one goes the opposite direction of all the other score lines, all the other folds. All right, so now is the fun part, and that is to cut into our cardstock. We are gonna have quite a bit of excess here, but that's okay, because cardstock is cheap, and I always feel like when I'm scoring and cutting things away, I'm always practicing. So it gives me more experience. All right, paper snips. Everything is behind me. All right. So I'm going to focus on the short sides here. So I'm going to come in 2 score lines and I'm going to cut all the way up to the second of the diagonal score lines. So see how that's a cut line right there? So to me, I'm going to cut 1, 2, kind of cutting up 3, 4 score lines if you count the right one and the left one. And I'm just going to go right down the middle of the score line. And I'm going to stop. Basically, you're stopping right at that middle score line there. I'm going to do that on both sides while we're here. Like that, okay? And then I'm going to turn it a quarter of a turn, and I'm going to cut up this score line and remove this whole section. Let's get some of that cardstock out of our way. If it's easier for you to see the score line on the other side, just flip it over. So I'm going to get rid of all of that, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side here, just cutting up that score line that's right next to the diagonals. Again, look at your template, and that will help you know where to cut. Well, I should say look at your template when I get the project sheet done, which will be tomorrow. I got this idea in my head after studying Jennifer's project, and then it just took a while to execute, but I'm happy with it in the end. All right, so we've done that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. Let's just get rid of some of this bulk. Again, cutting all the way up to that middle score line there. And in whatever order works the best with your brain. I don't know, sometimes people like to focus on one corner first before they move on to another corner. Whoops, I didn't cut far enough on that side. I stopped too soon. There we go. Okay, now if you wanted to at this point, we could actually fold on that middle section and burnish, because having that flexibility there will help us kind of get into other places, okay? So then, again, we're gonna cut up this score line. So cutting up right to the bottom of that diagonal thing and get rid of this whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. Like so. I feel like we're performing surgery here. Is that what we do as paper crafters? Paper surgery. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and focus on these sections on the side. And what I like to do is to come in to the 2 inside score lines here. So that's just, I'm skipping that first one. Like that, okay. And then I'm gonna remove these 2 sections here. And again, see, this is getting in my way, so I'm just gonna fold that out of the way. It allows me to get closer to these 2 sections here. And I tried to do the template with the cut lines exactly how we're cutting tonight. So that's another cut mark there. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Now I'm gonna flip it over because I'm right-handed and it's just easier for me to cut on the right. Like that. Okay, now the last thing we have to do here, well, there's a couple finishing things we have to do, but I'm gonna cut off this triangle. We're doing this piece right here, we're cutting away. And this little angled piece does not have to be perfect. That is the piece that we're gonna fold into the box. It's the tab that holds all the sides of this box together. So there we go. Okay, now, right now I can go ahead and fold on those and burnish. Okay, like that. Now, this is the part that I couldn't figure out in Illustrator before I went live. We're gonna miter cut these because this is angled and it's gonna fold into the box, but because of the way that that edge is cut, it won't let me fold that in. So we're gonna do a miter cut. And I'm doing, I don't know, I'm just doing a cute little triangle. I'm just cutting that away. That's a technical term. A cute little triangle is what I'm cutting away. You just need to cut it at enough of an angle that that's not going to get in the way. And again, I'll fix the template in order to identify that here. I just couldn't figure it out before going live. So it's going to go like that. And you'll see inside, maybe you can see that, let's see, I need something to point. Right here, that's not getting in the way of that folded edge there, okay? And the last thing on this side is we're gonna miter cut. This is just a little tab. You probably can't see it, but it gives us a really nice finished edge right there, and then nothing would fall out of the box, but I like having that little tab there. It just gives it a nice closure. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna focus, this side is done, okay? And again, somehow I'll figure out how to do that angle. It was just not cooperating with me. Okay, so on this side again, we're gonna repeat, coming into that second score line from each end and cut. And then I'm gonna go ahead and remove these two sections here. Basically just isolating things to get to those diagonals. Like so. And now we're gonna cut on these angles, with the diagonals. Just flipping it around. Go this way. Like so, and remember, we've got a miter cut, or do a little bit of an angle cut here. Again, just a cute little triangle. You want to remove that and do that on both sides. And then finally, we're going to miter cut on this little tab. And then we're going to fold and burnish on these tabs. So a good indication that you've cut it at enough of an angle is that those folds don't surpass that score line, okay? All right, so a couple more things. We're gonna round the corners of the top of our box. This is kind of how it's gonna go together. Obviously the sides are gonna tuck in here, like so, okay? But we're gonna round the corners on these. And I will include links. I'll include a link to the punches, but please know it's not an affiliate link because I can't do that with punches. There we go. And then we're going to put some hole punches, okay? And also before we put this together, I'm going to put on some designer series paper. It's like I'm dressing my box. Put on some designer series paper. At this point, we're going to be winging it how I decorate it, but I have an idea in mind. We'll see how it goes. Cleaning up my mess here. All right. I just have an 1/8 of an inch hole punch here, and I'm just lining up those top two edges so that we can basically kill two birds with one stone. So we're going to punch both sides at the same time. And you don't have to be perfect with the hole punches. Your ribbon is really going to hide if they're not straight or a little bit cattywampus. I try to get them somewhat in line, but see, they're not totally perfect, and that's okay. If you wanted to do pencil marks, of course, they're perfect on the template because I have measurements and coordinates that I can look at, but you could actually come in and measure and make pencil marks if you wanted to, okay? All right, now before we glue this together, we're gonna put on some designer series paper. Now, I'm gonna leave the sides naked because I did not have time to figure out an easy way to tell you about the angles there. If I happen to figure it out, I will include those details on the project sheet, but I gotta play around with Illustrator a little bit to figure out the right way to do. I might not pull it off, but for now, we're gonna decorate the front and the back, okay? So that's the template. Again, it's going to be edited just a little bit for those miter cuts, but this will be included on the project sheet. Now I dipped into the Celebration papers, again, free with a $60 purchase. This is Toadstool Gardens. It does coordinate with the Toadstool suite. Like I said, I don't remember the names of anything, but I loved the colors in this. I was going to do a Valentine's project and then I just had to pivot at the last minute, but we're going to use a really fun pattern from Toadstool Gardens. And it's this fun striped pattern. So my pieces measure, now strategically I cut these If you had a directional pattern, which technically stripes are directional, but stripes could go either way, portrait or landscape. But if it was a directional pattern, you're going to cut all of these pieces in landscape. The two smaller ones are 5/8 of an inch tall by 2 7/8 inch wide. And the two larger pieces are 1 7/8 inch tall by 2 7/8 wide. So all 4 of these are 2 7/8 inches wide. These are 1 7/8, oh my goodness, 1 7/8 inches tall. And these are 5/8 inches tall. Words tonight. My brain was on vacation too. All right, so we're gonna put these pieces, so these here, we're gonna do the same thing on both sides, and this right here on the top, okay? Now I didn't pay attention. I guess those are kind of lined up, like the pattern itself. All right, so liquid glue. Oh, that's a fun pattern on the back too. There's plenty of patterns in the toadstool gardens that are not toadstools, so it's a fun one, whether you like them or not. Oh, Deborah, that's too funny. Well, on your next order. And Logan, it is, what was the temperature today? Let's see. It's 29 degrees here in Atlanta right now, and we are kind of excited because I think we're going to get snow on Friday. But what happens in Atlanta? Well, I'm excited. Are you excited? Brian's indifferent. The only problem with Atlanta snow is the sun comes out during the day and then everything turns to ice, because when the sun goes down, all that wet stuff turns into ice. So I think Saturday morning is going to be a little bit exciting for us, because we will likely be stuck in the house for a little bit till the ice is gone. This Ohio-born girl, doesn't matter how much experience I have in the snow, or driving in the snow. It was one of the things my dad prided himself on, was teaching me how to drive in the snow. Nobody can drive on ice, except for ice road truckers maybe, but I don't have that kind of gear for my car. Let's see. I had a very productive winter break. I did tons of decluttering. I should have been doing a lot of decluttering in my craft room, but the rest of the house got lots of decluttering done. It feels really good. One of those things I've just keep putting off, and when you've lost both parents and you've kind of accumulated a lot of stuff over the last 27 years, that's how long my mom's been gone, there was just a lot of stuff I needed to let go of, and it was finally time. So now I'm feeling a little bit more peaceful in my own home. Any of you that might be going through a decluttering journey, it feels good. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and put our box together. I was thinking of that through for a second. Gosh, I love those stripes. See, I didn't know how this was gonna turn out, but those are so cute. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put this together, and it's as simple as putting adhesive on these tabs that we created. So glue on the tab, and then we're gonna line up that score line with this flat edge, like so. Okay, now I don't know, those naked sides, I'm gonna wanna figure out how to do the DSP for that. Challenge accepted. We'll see if I can figure it out. All right, so liquid glue on the tab, and then we're gonna go ahead and line up the score line with the cut edge. Now this is a little bit awkward to get your fingers on the inside, so just take your time. That's part of why I recommend using liquid glue. It gives you some time to get that all lined up. And then we're just gonna work our way around. Yesterday's home project was, we got some new accent chairs for the living room, thanks to my Aunt Lindy and Uncle Bob. Merry Christmas to us. but I didn't want the chair fabric to fade. And so I went to Home Depot and got UV film for the windows. And that always takes longer than I think it'll take. But I took care of all, well, I guess it's 2 windows, but 2 tall double paned windows. UV film done yesterday, when I probably should have been working on tonight's project, but that's how my brain works sometimes. All right, just lining that up. Getting my finger kind of in the box as far as I can. I'm just pressing. I have like my middle finger on the inside and my thumb on the outside and just kind of pressing that tab in. This last tab is always just a little bit tricky to tuck into the box. Just take your time. Just got to get past that bottom edge there. There we go. And again, liquid glue gives you a chance to slide everything into place. You just take your time making sure you're lining up that score line with that cut edge, and you'll have a really nice finished edge there. There we go. Okay, so now these tabs are just gonna fold in. You'll fill it with your treats, and it's actually a really good sized square footage in there. So the base of the box is 3 inches by 3 inches square. The height here is 1 7/8 inch tall, so almost 2 inches. But you could get a pretty good handful of treats in there. I'm thinking a handful of Hershey's Kisses, peppermints, Werthers. You could probably roll up like a really nice silk scarf as a gift. So those tabs will just tuck in, and that just kind of hides the peekaboo here when we close this, like so. Okay, isn't that so cute how that goes together? But it looks like a little bit of a purse or clutch. I don't know, if you guys have any names you think we should call this, just throw that in the chat. I always read the chat after the stream. But since we put the designer series paper on the front and the back, there really is no front or back because our seams are all along these angled sides. So I'm going to grab some ribbon. And this is from, ooh, if I remember, I'm pretty sure this is Online Exclusives, new Online Exclusives ribbon. This is included if you signed up for my product shares, but it is the white woven ribbon. It's a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna trim the end here at an angle to just help me get through the holes here. I can see that my holes are kind of cattywampus, but we can adjust that with the ribbon. So I'm gonna feed through the right and then come back through the left. And we're just gonna tie a bow. And I have an idea of how we're gonna finish this, but we'll see. Get enough of a tail here. Okay. Oh boy, now I'm, okay, here we go. I'm getting thrown off with how I do my, my pose. There we go. Yeah, I feel like I did that backwards. What am I doing wrong here? Sometimes when I'm tying a bow on a 3D project, my brain goes backwards. All right, so loop. This ribbon is really nice to work with. I don't actually need to use my reverse tweezers here because it's almost like a linen. It's woven ribbon, but it feels like a linen. So nice and light, but it grips onto itself really easily, so I don't need that third hand. Now we're just gonna zhuzh. Ooh, bath bombs is a good idea, Darlene. A fried chicken takeout box. Yeah, or a rotisserie chicken box. Barbara, have you had dinner yet tonight? I'm just kidding. There we go. I'm just zhuzhing and making sure my loops are even. But again, this ribbon is really easy to work with. Not so easy trying to tie a bow on a box like this, but worth the effort. All right, there we go. And then trim. One side. Isn't that so cute? Ugh. All right, so now let's go ahead and do some stamping. I think I'm actually gonna heat emboss because it's my favorite thing and that's what I thought of. Using the white ribbon, I felt like a white sentiment was gonna be too much white. So we're gonna do pumpkin pie because I love that color. Granny apple green would be really cute. Even the fresh freesia, you could have some fun with it, but I pulled out pumpkin pie. So we're gonna do that. Did I pull out pumpkin pie? I thought I did. Grab a scrap. We're gonna heat emboss, so Versamark. I don't have my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out, so I'm gonna use my contraband machine, which is behind me. It's the mini Empress, Anna Griffin Empress. It's one of my favorite electric die cutting machines. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I absolutely love the Memorable Blooms stamp set. So we're gonna do Thanks So Much. We're gonna heat emboss that in white, and then I'm just gonna die cut it with Stylish Shapes. I think I already took I did. I was gonna show you, this is a brand new stamp set. So I don't put the stickers on my stamp set. I actually tuck the sticker sheet behind, so in the wrapping, behind the stamp case, and that actually I can still see the labels underneath here, so I know when something's missing, and I know even though it's backwards it says thanks so much. But that's how I do my stamps because I'm too lazy to put the stickers on. Whoops. So I just pulled my stamp out and pull the backing off. This is cling, so I just don't see the need to put the stickers on because I want to get to stamping. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my high polymer. It's like an eraser, but I'm just gently rubbing that on the surface. This works best with photopolymer stamps, but it also works with red rubber. I don't know, feel like it cleans off any of the residue on there. Let's see, I'm gonna leave this one out and I'll figure out which one we're gonna use, but what else do I need? I need a scrap piece of paper. We'll just use this. It's not computer paper, but I'm probably gonna wish. That'll work enough. I'm just folding it in half. See, I told you I wasn't ready for you tonight. It's like improv. But I'm gonna actually pour my powder over that scrap paper. I would normally recommend scrap paper, like copy paper. Brian's looking to save me. It's in the printer, but I'm not gonna worry about it. All right, so thanks so much. Normally I would like to put this in my, you know what? Please hold.
You don't got anymore?
No, well, yes, but I'm gonna use my Misty because I like to stamp twice with Versamark. I'm just gonna cut a little scrap piece here. Quick and dirty. This is how I create though. So you're seeing my creative process just live when I'm not totally prepared for you guys. All right, I don't need the foam mat. I'm just gonna stick that in the corner. And I'm just gonna pop that because I did already do Versamark here. That's all right, I got it. Okay, popping that there. This way I can stamp the Versamark in the same spot twice. You can't do that when you've got it on a clear block. So Versamark. Here we go. Do it once. Make sure that stays in the corner there. I think this will look really cute, white on pumpkin pie, but really you could go with any of those other colors. Fresh freesia, granny apple green. There we go. So double layer of Versamark. I may be in a world of hurt because I didn't use anti-static, but that's all right. So I just folded piece of paper here that I want to catch my powder on. I also like to put the powder on twice. See if Julie can do this without making a mess. One more time for any holes or spots that didn't get powder. That looks pretty good. Okay. Clean up my powder. There we go. And I do have the heat tool out. That's right next to me and plugged in. There it starts to turn. Always so magical, no matter how many times I do that. There we go. But I love the way that that pops on pumpkin pie. So just gonna give it a second to cool. It cools really fast. And while that's happening, let's figure out my favorite die set. You guys have seen me use this hundreds of times. Maybe not that many times, but yeah, I like that one there. Okay, so quick contraband. I say contraband because I do love to always use Stampin' Up! Products, and most of the stuff I use, 99% of it is, but sometimes, so this is the Anna Griffin Empress, the Empress Mini. Let me make sure that's gonna fit on the front. Yes, okay. It's got a magnet pad, and yes, I cut right into the magnet pad. And I'm just gonna, it's plugged in behind me, so then I'm just gonna run that through behind me, bear with me. So cute with that stitched edge. Oh, I love it. Okay. And then we're about to have a finished project. Dimensionals. I think 3 should be good. Here we go. I'm going to center that as best I can. There we go. Oh, so cute and simple, but I love the way that looks. And then rhinestones. Look, it's all right here. I'm going to grab a rhinestone. Let's do a medium one. I'm just going to pop that off. I think I like it there at the bottom. There we go. So that is our tapered clutch gift box. And maybe you've come up with a cuter name in the chat. I'm not sure. Are people putting names in the chat? Were you watching? Yep. Or there's no. So there we go. That is the box. Thanks to Jennifer Amory for the inspiration. This is the pixie-fied version. I love how unique it is. I've done a trapezoid box before. It's been a few years. That was a little bit different, where it was tapered in the front and square on the, or square or rectangular on the sides. But I just love the way that looks. So cute. So there we go. All right, so stay tuned. Tomorrow before the end of the day, I will have a project sheet for you. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do panels on the sides. Sometimes when you incorporate angles, it gets really tough to get a nice fit, but I will do my best and see what I can come up with. I actually don't mind the naked sides now that it's all put together. You can see the little ribbon on the back there is so cute. So stay tuned. That will be available in the video description before the end of the day tomorrow. If you are on my email list, and that's not my blog subscription list, that is my actual email list. There's a link to join that in the video description. I will also send the project sheet out tomorrow as well. So that's the fastest way to get it, but you can also come back to this video at any time as well, and you'll find it linked in the description by the end of the day tomorrow. So how about we jump into our Q&A, and while I'm teeing that up, if you haven't already given us a thumbs up and hit that like button, go ahead and do that now before the stream is over if you enjoyed tonight's content. And let's see. Q. All right. Coming up first is Sandra. All right, is it okay to use Stampin' Mist to clean photopolymer stamps? Yes, I've heard, some people say yes, some people say no. I have never had any issues with Stampin' Mist. I think it's got like, I forget what they put in it. It smells very perfumey, but I have always used Stampin' Mist to clean my photopolymer stamps, and I haven't had any issues with it. It's the stays-on cleaner that you do not want to use on photopolymer stamps because it will cause them to break down and melt. Now, some people will use it, but you have to be very quick to clean it off, and you have to make sure it's all cleaned off. I just don't even go anywhere near it. I just use Stampin' Mist or water. The date for the daffodil ribbon, the last I checked, Jody, is the week of January 27th. So I think what happened was, that right? Brian's giving me the thumbs up. My guess is pre-order went more successful with the daffodil ribbon than Stampin' Up! Anticipated, and I'm sure they had already had ribbon on order. They just couldn't get it restocked before the launch date. But yes, it is the week of January 27th. Okay, so I actually was reading the mini catalog and noticed, I'm glad you were reading it. There's lots of really good nuggets in the catalog. I usually find something new each time I look at it, or something that I may not have read before. That there are reversibles and distinctives, which were interesting. Do you have an example? Others might find this interesting. So, yes, those are sort of trademarked proprietary types of stamps that Stampin' Up! Offers. Reversibles. Ooh, I know I ordered one of them. Let me see if I can figure out the name of it. But in general, the distinctives are stamp sets that have a little bit more texture and sort of 3D-ness to them. They're just very detailed. Okay, it's called Natural Botanicals. Hold on one second. All right, so Natural Botanicals is an example of a reversible. And essentially, I'm trying to think. I'm going to come back. Hold on, Jennifer. I'm going to take your question off the screen for a second and come back to here and just show you. I have not used this stamp set yet. It's brand new, but it looks like just a normal stamp set. It is actually a little bit thicker in width, and it is poured in a way that you can actually stamp using either side of the stamp set. So to just show you an example here, this is the more detailed side, but I can also stamp, if I can peel, this is the heavier or stronger acetate on the back. I can also stamp, and you probably can't see that because you're seeing the detail, but if I bend it just a little bit, this is the flat side. So just to show an example in the catalog, should have left it on that page. What it's showing you is that you can get both sides, you can put ink on both sides of the stamp. Now, definitely with the reversibles, you want to use something like the high polymer eraser on something that's flat like this. You just gently would just press it along the flat edge of the stamp and then ink it up, and you're just going to get a much cleaner stamp. But I love the samples in the catalog because, especially this framed one. So the orange and the green solid images are just the opposite side of the detailed images, and I love the way those pair together. So again, here they're using that, here as well. This uses both the detail and the flat side. So just really, really pretty. Those are reversibles. Distinctives, I'm trying to see if I can find an example of distinctive. Usually you can spot them because they're extra detailed. Is that a distinctive? No, let's see. Maybe someone can save me in the chat. I can never remember. You have to kind of look for the distinctive symbol. Is that one distinctive? I didn't order that one. This one might be a distinctive stamp, even though it's not identified as such, because see how it's just got a lot more texture and detail. So hence distinctive. But hopefully that answers your question, Jennifer. All right, coming back to the chat here. Yes, I will post a link to her video, Cheryl, in the video description. It's Evasion Creatives, but I'll put a link to her website in the blog post for the project. I don't have any specific details on this, Lisa. The delays in the availability of the decorative Christmas trees dies, they do keep pushing the date back. It's supposed to be available like mid-December, and then the date just keeps getting pushed back. My guess is there's probably delays with the holiday timing, but right now it's supposed to, those and a bunch of other dies are probably all on the same shipping container, and they're right now estimated to be back next week. So that was like the reindeer days, decorative trees. I've got quite a few customers that are waiting for those as well. Now, a lot of those are last chance, so this is the last time they're going to be restocked before they're gone for good. So I don't know how much they're restocking with, but just keep your eye on the website. I wish there was a way for us to be notified when they're back. You just have to kind of watch the website. I'm hoping that we get that functionality back at some point in the near future. We used to have it. It's been a while, but I sure would love that. Ooh, Glenda, good question. What cutter do I use to cut paper for paper shares? I don't hesitate to share this, but it is, that was a significant business investment for us. It cuts, I think I can cut 8 to 10 packs of designer series paper at one time. It's a professional stack cutter. I ordered it from from Whitaker Brothers, but it's an MBM Triumph is the brand, but it was an investment. It was something that we purchased during COVID. It was delivered on a pallet. You should have seen Brian and I trying to get that thing in the house. And then we had to build the table that it sits on and then try to get it on the table. It was heavy. But yeah, it's a professional, or I should say an industrial stack paper cutter, something like you would see, not the ones they have at FedEx and Staples. Those are big electric ones, but similar blade to those. Let's see. I will add the link, Deidre, for the corner rounder punch. I haven't added it to my favorites yet because the app that I use for my favorites only pulls in affiliate links, and I can't do an affiliate link for punches. It's against policy. So I'll have to figure out a way to add it to my favorites list. That's going to get revamped at some point. Let's see. So I work totally full-time, Joe. So I work at least 40 hours a week, if not more. A lot of it is back office stuff, just responding to customers and typical day-to-day. I don't spend a ton of time creating. So it's a little bit, I don't know, unbalanced in a way. I have a lot of administrative work that needs to be done during the week, but I do work full-time. I love the Empress machine. It is, I've had a lot of electric machines. Part of why I have an electric machine is because of how many things that I create, especially when I'm doing things for like product shares. I always include a handmade card, and I definitely need an electronic die cutting machine if I use any dies. Brian usually does that for me. But of the electric die cutting machines, that one has been my favorite. I've tried the Big Shot Express. That used to be our workhorse. The Big Shot Switch, which I didn't personally love. What else have I tried? I have the Big Empress and the Small Empress, and those are both my favorites. I prefer the mini one over the big one just because most dies fit on the mini Empress, but I love it. The die set I use for the circle is called Stylish Shapes, and yes, it's still available. The reversibles and distinctives do not have to be treated or stamped differently. You stamp them the same way. You may want to use a stamp positioning tool with the solid side of the reversibles only because that's quite a bit of square footage of photopolymer. And if you for some reason don't get full ink coverage, a stamp positioning tool will help you have some more success with the reversibles. It's not totally necessary, but sometimes when it's a very solid image like that, sometimes you can have difficulty on the photopolymer. It really doesn't matter which side you use first, Jennifer, because you're essentially, you're either using 2 different colors of ink to get some shading, or maybe you're doing like 2nd generation stamping where you're stamping off first. For me, I probably would do the solid image first and then the detail over it, but you could really do them in either order. Stampin' Up! Does not sell the high polymer eraser, Darlene, but it is on my favorites page, or at least in my Amazon favorites store. If you go to my favorites page, I think it's on I put like my top 10 favorite things on my favorites page. That is thepaperpixie.com/favorites. But you can get them from Amazon, and the one I linked to, I think, is a 4-pack. So keep one for yourself and share 3 with friends. It makes a great like pillow gift for a Stampin' Up! Event, or just sharing with your crafty friends, or put it in a couple different places in your craft room if you tend to lose things like I do. Let's see. Yes, it is possible, Kathy. Is it possible to stamp emboss with other colors except gold, silver, and bronze with the heat tool? Yes. And we do also have, so we've got gold, silver, bronze, black, white, and clear. Those are the 6 different embossing powders. But another thing that you can do is stamp, okay, I'm trying to remember the order. Stamp Versamark, then your colored ink, then stamp it on your cardstock. So you're kind of doing a colored ink and Versamark combo. Then the powder should stick to the Versamark. So for that, I recommend doing clear embossing powder. Sometimes if you have a really juicy ink pad, you have just enough time to sprinkle powder on the wet ink, but I personally have better experience if I'm mixing it with Versamark. And my best advice is stamp Versamark first, then the colored ink pad, because otherwise you're going to get colored ink on your Versamark ink pad and then you'll be sad. So Versamark, colored ink pad, stamp, powder, heat emboss. And then you're basically going to get what looks like a colored emboss, but it's really just clear embossing powder over a color. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. The poly eraser, it really just, I think because it's a similar material, it's a type of polymer. I want to give a shout out to Patty Bennett for this, because she talked about it before and we all kind of heard about it and shared it and talked about it, and it really makes such a difference. But our photopolymer stamps, when they come off the production line, have sometimes a little bit of a manufacturing residue that can cause your inks to pool on photopolymer. This actually just kind of removes whatever residue might be on there. It doesn't really rough up the stamp, like it won't damage your stamp. Now you're not rubbing it like you're erasing it, lead off of paper where you get shavings. I don't get any shavings on this because I am really just, with the flat surface, just brushing it lightly on the photopolymer surface a few times, and then you'll notice a really big difference. I always recommend, doing a bit of a test. Take one stamp set that you just ink up directly, take another one that you use the high polymer eraser on, and look at the difference in how the ink sticks to the sort of the treated one. It's not really treated, but that you've used the photopolymer or the polymer eraser on, and you just get much better ink coverage. It's kind of magic. It's one of my favorite tips and tricks for that, for sure. All right, we have reached the end of the questions. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Thanks for bearing with me. I wasn't quite ready for you tonight, but I love how our little tapered clutch gift box turned out. I hope you'll give this project a try. Again, I'll have the project sheet with the template for reference, all the measurements. That'll be ready for you before the end of the day tomorrow. So that will be the end of the day, January 9th. And again, don't forget, we're in the midst of celebrations, so you can earn free product with purchases of $60 or more. And that applies to anything available in the online store. It does not have to be products from the mini catalog. You could purchase products from the annual catalog, from the mini catalog, from online exclusives, from the scrapbooking brochure. Basically, your cart subtotal when it reaches $60 or more you get to pick free products from Celebration. So it's the best time of the year. That's available now through February 28th. Again, check out that starter kit deal if you've got a really big wish list. That is a great way to get a lot for less. The starter kit is $99. Again, you get to pick a bunch of extra product during Celebration. It ships for free, which is an additional 11% in savings, and it comes with all the demonstrator perks like the discount, getting to see products first. I could go on and on and on. So many fun benefits, and you can just enjoy the discount as a hobbyist and sort of choose your own adventure anywhere in between that and being a business builder, everywhere in between. So I'd love to welcome you to my team of Paper Pixies. Celebration is one of the best times of year to do that. And again, check out the scrapbooking brochure, online exclusives, the new kits. What else? Celebration, mini catalog, so much fun stuff this month. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week. Don't forget, all you need are stamps, ink, and a little paper pixie. We'll see you next time. Here's a special shout out to my Pixie patrons. Thanks again. See you next week. Bye.